Hey there guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today I bought another project. I kind of have this problem where I buy things that need work and I bring them home and I start working on them and I put way more money into them than what they're worth, and then they only kind of work a little bit. So hopefully that's not the case on this one. This is a 1996 Kawasaki 1100 ZXI. So I've been looking for a jet ski for a while. I picked this one up for $800 with the trailer. The trailer is a 95 model, but it's in really good shape. So worst case scenario, I can drive this thing to the landfill, push the jet ski off of it, and sell the trailer for like 500 bucks. So a little bit of a gamble, but I think we can get it going. The guy swears that it just needs a battery and a starter. And so I was like, well, I can replace the starter. And went and picked it up, popped the cover off here, and I'm like, where the heck is that starter at? So, fun fact, on these you have to take half the engine apart to get to that starter. Here's where we are at right now. Got some washers and nuts down there. I need to fish out of there. So, I had to take the exhaust manifold off. It's laying right down in there. And then the whole exhaust system was in there, and that is right there on the ground. I've got a starter on the way here. Before I even went and looked at this thing, I got on Amazon and started looking at starters, and they're like, you can get a starter that fits this thing for like 35 bucks. So I already had it in my cart before I even left to go look at this, and got home, started tearing into it, realized where that starter was, and decided to spend a little bit more money on that starter because it's not a very fun project. So spent 100 bucks. I got the SBT high torque starter. I'll put that down in the video description below. I just got it on Amazon. I looked at some of the personal watercraft forums and mixed reviews on the SBT. Everyone swears buy OEM, buy OEM. They're like $300 to $400, $300 to $500, and I've never even heard this thing run. So I didn't want to go that route yet. I'm expecting it's going to need a complete engine rebuild, probably a winter project. If it can get me through the summer with a starter, we'll see what happens. That would be ideal. And then we'll have to do some work on it this winter probably, so stay tuned for that. I'm sure there's plenty more coming on this. And this is just my first video. Once I get it running, hopefully I'll come back and update you guys with another video. I just wanted to show my purchase, what 800 bucks could get you, and that might even be a little bit high. I did get underneath of it a little bit, and there's minor damage to the hull. There's some exposed fiberglass, but I think the guy drove it on the river a lot, and so he beached it quite a bit, and that's what that's from. I think we can patch that right up. I'm going to do all my tests and everything with it before I do that. Trying to take it out on the water next weekend, so we'll see what happens. Go ahead and walk around it a little bit here. This front compartment is for your fire extinguisher. That's in there. This whole thing pops out. Came with a free rat's nest. So need to get the shop back out. Fix that. There's the starter I pulled out of it. It's got the gauges up here. So it has the Kawasaki CAT system, and that stands for Kawasaki Auto Trim System. And so what that does is, based off your throttle and how fast you're going, it'll automatically adjust your trim up and down. That does not work. So there's a button here to turn that CATS on and off, and there's a button here for the trim to manually adjust it, and neither of those work, so there must be something frozen up in the trim motor. I've been told that it's perfectly drivable, so apparently where it's stuck, it's not a big deal. Your RPM gauge, he says it works. Speedometer works about half the time, that's typical. Fuel gauge, I did put some power to it yesterday, and these two lights lit up, so that's good. You got your on-off right here. You're supposed to use this key to turn that off and on, but clearly you can just do it with your hand. We got that you attach either to your wrist or to your life jacket. And then the throttle over here is free. Choke. It's kind of tough to pull, but it does work. And then a clock there, I guess. There's your Kawasaki 1100 engine. Your 3 spark plugs. I'll probably pop those here this week and just replace those just because. Compression listed on these cylinders, 115, 110, 110. That's a little bit lower than I wanted to see. And he said, so the guy that I bought this from had owned it for 6 years. And he said that those numbers were from when he bought it. So I've always heard that 120 is the minimum that you want to be running on one of these. He says it ran great. He's telling me he went 65 miles an hour on this thing. Maybe the speedometer said that, but I don't think this thing was moving that fast. From what I've read in the forums and stuff, these will do like 50, 55, 58, sometimes pushing 60. So with the healthy engine, I think that's where we'd get, but with this one, I wouldn't expect that. The exhaust was super, super dirty. Let me flip that on. Hopefully you guys can see that a little bit. This is a dirty engine. Some of that's to be expected with the 2-stroke engine. You got your fuel tank up here, and you've got your oil tank back here. So there is an oil pump on the engine that automatically mixes your fuel and oil for you. A lot of people install a block-off plate on these and then just run pre-mixed fuel in their fuel tank, because one of the very common failure points on these motors is that oil pump will quit working, and so then oil will stop being injected into the fuel automatically, and you have no way of knowing that, and all of a sudden your engine's starved of oil and it's toast. So a lot of people just block all that off and run premix. It's a little bit more work up front. Obviously it's not real convenient to have to do that, but a little bit of peace of mind there. The trailer has this little compartment that it came with. I assume someone had some sort of toolbox there, some sort of spare mounted there or something. This trailer did not come with a spare, which is unfortunate. I'll probably have to find a spare for it, because the lake that I go to is a little bit over an hour away. So every time I take this thing out, I'm gonna be towing it a decent distance. The seat is right there. It's in decent shape. Don't really love the purple. I'll probably reupholster that to match this gray. And the purple, the rub rails all around it are actually in pretty good shape. I might try to get away from the purple color and the purple mirrors and stuff. I don't really know why purple was the color scheme to choose here, but this was the mid-90s and there were a lot of weird things going on. So that's what they went with. I guess I don't have a whole lot else to say about it. I really wanted to get on this video because I searched for a long time to figure out where that starter was located at. And again, that starter plugs in right there. So it sits just like that, stuck into that little hole down there. There are 2 bolts to take it out. Can't really see them down there. Oh, they're back here. If you can see that bolt hole there, and there's a bolt hole there. It just screws right onto the block. I'll pop up a picture here on what this unit looked like when I brought it home, attached to the truck before I started tearing it down. If I've got a picture of the engine bay before I started tearing into it, I think I have a few along the way. I'll go ahead and post those here too, or just put them up on the screen. So anyway, I really appreciate you guys watching. I just wanted to come on and say I've got another project. We're going to be working on it. I'm going to bring you along with. I imagine we probably have a couple years worth of videos on this thing, just on and off. I don't plan on putting a whole lot of hours on it, but when I want to use it, I'm going to want it ready to go. So do need to get some of the maintenance items cleaned up. And then the old Lincoln, it needs some help. The sun's shining, it's 75 degrees, Sunday afternoon. I should be out cruising the Lincoln, but it's not there yet. It still needs the fuel tank, and it needs the whole fuel system gone through. I've got the parts, just need to do it. So anyway, that's going to be it for this video. I'll be back soon, so make sure to subscribe. Lots of stuff going on. So subscribe, comment, like the video, share the video. Anything you can do really helps the channel, so I appreciate it. Until next time, have a great day.